You've been working so hard to get there, to think the right thoughts, to say the right affirmations, to hold the right frequency, to stay positive even when life feels heavy. You've tried to be grateful when you don't feel it, calm when you're falling apart, faithful when everything around you looks like proof that nothing is changing. You've done the work. You've read the books. You've listened to every talk about vibration, assumption, surrender, alignment. You've spent nights visualizing your end, mornings trying to raise your vibration, and still it feels like life keeps you in the same loop. But what if that constant trying, this endless striving to get it right, is the very thing keeping you stuck in the state of trying? Both Neville Goddard and Abraham Hicks tried to tell us the same truth in two very different ways. Neville, the mystic of stillness. Abraham, the voice of flow. Neville said, live in the end. Abraham said, go downstream. Two different teachers. Two different languages. But one message underneath. You stop trying when you finally trust that it's already done. Abraham never told you to ignore your reality. He told you to stop fighting it. When you release resistance, your energy stops sending mixed signals. You stop asking and doubting in the same breath. You stop building a bridge and tearing it down every time you check if it's working. The stream of life was always moving toward you. It's just that your struggle made you forget how to float. You've been told that the universe tests you, that if things get quiet or slow, it means you've fallen out of alignment. What if it's not a test? What if it's an invitation? A chance to rest in faith long enough for what you've already created to catch up to you. Abraham says the vibration of allowing is the vibration of peace. Neville says the assumption fulfilled is the rest of completion. They are describing the same place, the moment you stop chasing outcomes and start embodying them. When Neville said, you do not make it so. You assume it's so. He wasn't telling you to control your thoughts. He was teaching you how to rest. He was saying that manifestation isn't an act of effort, it's an act of recognition. You don't force the seed to sprout. You hold the knowing that it's already growing beneath the surface. You don't command the tree to bloom. You know it will in its appointed hour. In the same way, you don't command life to respond. You align with what's already been created in unseen form. The assumption is not a trick of the mind. It's a quiet recognition that creation is finished, and that the end you long for already exists in consciousness. Abraham would call that the art of allowing, the place where you finally stop arguing with what is and start trusting what's coming. She says you can't get it wrong, and you never get it done. Neville says nothing to change but self. Both are freeing you from the same illusion that you need to do more to deserve more. When you're in the vibration of trying, you're telling the universe that you don't yet have it. And the universe, faithful mirror that it is, reflects back your state. Not your words, not your effort, but your state. You can speak affirmations all day, but if underneath them you're saying, I hope this works, the message you're broadcasting is lack. You're saying, I don't have it yet. The law responds not to effort but to identity. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are being. And this is where both Neville and Abraham meet. Right in that moment where being replaces trying. Think of it like this. Abraham speaks to the feeling. Neville speaks to the knowing. Abraham says, let go of the oars. Neville says, be still and know that you are. Both are pointing to the same frequency, the one where your nervous system finally exhales and the universe can finally meet you there. You don't raise your vibration by climbing. You raise it by softening. You stop fighting with where you are. Stop trying to fix the moment. When you stop trying, you shift from survival frequency to creation frequency. You stop telling the universe, I don't trust you, with every effort to control. Instead, you send a new signal. I know it's done. And peace becomes your new point of attraction. From there, everything begins to move faster, because there's no resistance in your energy field anymore. Abraham says when you feel relief, you're moving in the right direction. Neville says, when you feel it real, you're already there. Relief and realization are the same vibration. It's the moment you drop the weight of how and return to, of course. Of course it's coming. Of course I'm safe. Of course I'm supported. Every time you doubt, you create tension. Every time you release, you create momentum. That's why people who give up sometimes manifest faster. They finally let go of the energetic chokehold. They stop checking, measuring, tracking, doubting. They accidentally find peace. Stop trying to manifest, and that's when everything begins to appear. Because the energy of trust is magnetic. as the energy of strain repels. Neville would tell you that the only effort required is persistence in the state. Abraham would call that staying tuned to the vibration. Both are saying, don't wrestle with the world, rest in the knowing. The state of faith is not passive, it's powerful. It's the silent command that tells reality, I've already arrived. When you wake up in the morning and remember your desire, your first instinct might be to start the work again, to visualize, to affirm, to check if it's here yet. But what if instead you began the day with peace? What if you simply said, it's unfolding perfectly? You don't have to keep opening the oven to see if the bread is rising. You don't dig up the seed to check if it's sprouting. You don't keep checking your heart to see if it's still beating. Creation sustains itself when you stop interfering with it. Abraham says, if you want to make something happen faster, chill out. Neville says, remain faithful to your assumption. Chill out in faith to words that, on the surface, sound worlds apart, but they both come from the same frequency. Trust. When you're in fear, everything tightens your breath, your muscles, your thoughts. When you're in trust, everything expands. You start to see the signs you used to miss. You start to feel guided again. And guidance isn't loud, it's subtle. It's a nudge, a whisper, a coincidence that feels too personal to ignore. When you're relaxed, the universe can finally reach you. You become receptive again. And that's when you begin to notice what Abraham calls evidence of alignment. Small things that feel like winks from the universe. The text you forgot you sent finally gets answered. The money you thought was gone reappears. The person who ghosted you suddenly reaches out. The idea that seemed impossible suddenly unfolds naturally. It's not because you worked harder, but because you stopped blocking the flow. Neville says the world is yourself pushed out. Abraham says, the universe is always responding to your vibration. They're saying the same thing, your world rearranges itself according to your inner state. When you rest in the end, you collapse time. When you relax into alignment, you dissolve resistance. Either way, you're allowing the unseen to become seen. You don't need to chase signs. Signs follow stability. The more peaceful you become, the louder they get. Because signs aren't promises of something coming, they're confirmations of something already here. You may wonder, but what about my doubts? What if I can't stay positive? Abraham would say, that's okay. Don't reach for joy, reach for relief. Neville would say, if you falter, turn to the end again. Both agree that falling out of alignment doesn't cancel your manifestation. It just delays your awareness of it. You're not failing when you doubt. You're human. You're simply experiencing contrast. Okay, and contrast isn't punishment. It's the clarifying energy that helps you refine your state. Abraham calls contrast your greatest friend. Neville calls it the shadow that reveals the light. Either way, the goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. When you notice yourself trying again, you gently stop. You breathe. You remember, it's already done. Stop trying to make the feeling happen. Let the feeling happen when it's ready. You can't squeeze ease out of tension. You can't force alignment through anxiety. Sometimes you just have to sit down and say, okay, I don't know how this works, but I know I'm taken care of. That's enough. Abraham would smile and say, that's alignment. Neville would nod and say, that's faith. When you reach that point of calm, life starts to reorganize. You begin to notice that people treat you differently. Situations shift without your interference. Money flows easier. Conversations soften. Doors open. Not because you've changed the world, but because you've changed your tone within it. You start realizing that every single desire you've ever had has been trying to reach you, not the other way around. It's been sitting right at the edge of your frequency, waiting for you to unclench, to breathe, to stop trying so hard. When you finally stop, it arrives, because you're not chasing anymore, you're allowing. Abraham says everything you want is downstream. Neville says, all ends are already complete. Downstream and complete are the same frequency. It means you can stop now. You can rest now. The current knows where to take you. The image you've held in imagination already exists in eternity. Can't miss what's already yours. And that's the great relief. Most people never give themselves permission to feel that creation is finished. You don't have to keep asking. You don't have to beg, prove, or pray for proof. You are the proof. You're the bridge between thought and matter. The more you practice resting, the faster everything unfolds. Because when the mind stops panicking, the energy finally stabilizes. Abraham calls this momentum. Neville calls it faith maintained. Both describe that quiet moment when desire and fulfillment meet in consciousness before it appears in time. So if you're tired of manifesting, tired of waiting, tired of working on yourself, then maybe today's the day you stop trying, not as an act of defeat, but as an act of alignment. You let go, not because you're giving up, but because you're remembering that it's already been given. You stop swimming upstream. You stop needing to earn what's already complete. You stop running toward what's been waiting patiently for you to slow down. When you finally rest, the law begins to work without interference. The same way gravity doesn't need your focus to hold you upright, consciousness doesn't need your effort to create. It's automatic, faithful, responsive. All it needed was your permission to flow again. So breathe. Sit back. Let it be easy. Because this was never about effort. It was about remembering who you are beneath all the effort. The one who imagines worlds into being. The one who is already complete. The one who doesn't need to reach the vibration because they are the vibration. You don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to force belief. You don't have to chase the vortex. It's already done. You were never meant to swim upstream. You're meant to remember you were the river all along. Letting go isn't giving up. It's faith in motion.